Undercover Betrayal. I never thought the line between love and duty would blur so easily. As an undercover cop, I've lived a double life for nearly 2 years, gaining the trust of some of the most dangerous criminals in the city. My target, Mick Costa, was one of them. Tall, with an air of quiet confidence, Mick was not just another gangster. He was smart, calculating, and someone I had to bring down. But there was one problem. I was falling for him. When I first met Mick, I saw him as nothing more than a job, a means to an end. I had to gather enough evidence to put him behind bars. But over time, things changed. We'd spend late nights talking about our pasts, dreams, and even the little things, like our favorite movies. He had a way of making me feel safe, something I hadn't felt in a long time. The more I got to know him, the more I questioned my mission. The dilemma was clear. Was Mick really the criminal mastermind I thought he was, or had I been wrong all along? The case files painted a damning picture, but my heart told me a different story. I couldn't deny the feelings I had for him, but I also couldn't forget why I was here. I had to make a decision, and soon. The longer I stayed undercover, the closer I got to him and the closer I got to betraying myself. Everything changed the night of the warehouse job. Mick had been planning it for weeks. It was supposed to be his big move, a multi-million-dollar deal that would cement his status in the criminal underworld. But what he didn't know was that I had already tipped off my team. They were ready to storm the place, arrest everyone, and put an end to it all. I stood by Mick's side as we entered the warehouse, trying to ignore the guilt that gnawed at me. His men were everywhere, guarding the place like it was Fort Knox. Mick, always calm and composed, gave me a reassuring smile. "Stick with me, and we'll make it through tonight," he whispered, brushing his hand against mine. I nodded, my throat tight. The moment of truth came when Mick handed me a gun. "I need you to watch my back," he said, his eyes searching mine. My heart raced. I had never crossed this line before. Up until now, I had been an observer, gathering intel from the shadows. But now, Mick was pulling me into the thick of it, trusting me to protect him. As I gripped the cold metal, I realized I couldn't do it. I couldn't betray him. But how could I betray everything I had worked for? Years of undercover work, building this case, and now, I was about to throw it all away because of my feelings. My mind screamed at me to make a choice. I could pull the trigger and keep my cover intact, or I could warn him about the raid and let him escape. Either way, I would lose. Just as the deal was about to go down, I saw the red and blue lights flashing in the distance. The cops were closing in. I had to act fast. "Mick." I grabbed his arm, pulling him aside. "It's a setup, we have to go now." His eyes widened in shock. "What are you talking about?" "I can't explain, but if you trust me, you'll walk out of here alive." I had never felt so desperate. This wasn't just about the case anymore. It was about us. For a split second, Mick hesitated. Then, with a nod, he grabbed my hand and we bolted. We ran through the back of the warehouse, dodging crates and gunfire as his men fought off the cops. My heart pounded in my chest, adrenaline coursing through my veins. I had never been so scared, yet so sure of what I was doing. We reached Mick's car, and he floored it, speeding away from the chaos. For a few minutes there was silence, save for the sound of the engine revving. I glanced at him, wondering if he would ask why I did it. But he didn't. Instead, he pulled over, turning to me with a mixture of anger and confusion in his eyes. "You knew this was gonna happen, didn't you?" I swallowed hard, trying to find the right words. "I'm a cop, Mick." The look on his face was something I'll never forget. Betrayal. Hurt. Rage. It all washed over him in an instant. He stared at me, jaw clenched, fists tight. "All this time, you were playing me." I shook my head. "It wasn't like that at first, yes, but things changed. I changed. I didn't expect to feel the way I do about you." Mick's laugh was cold bitter. "You expect me to believe that after everything you're telling me you fell for me?" "I'm telling you the truth. My voice was barely above a whisper. I wanted to reach out, to touch him, but I didn't dare. He slammed his hands on the steering wheel, the car shaking from the force. "Get out." I froze. "What?" I said, "Get out." His voice was low, dangerous. Tears welled up in my eyes, but I didn't move. "Mick, please. Get out before I do something we both regret." Slowly, I opened the door and stepped out. As soon as my feet hit the pavement, Mick sped off, leaving me alone on the side of the road. I watched the taillights disappear into the night, my heart shattered into a million pieces. I stood there for what felt like hours, the weight of my choices pressing down on me. I've lost everything, my case, my career, and the man I loved. But in the end, I knew I couldn't have both. Love and duty were never meant to coexist, not in my world. Weeks passed and I returned to the force, but things were different. The department commended me for the intel, but the case wasn't as strong as we'd hoped. Mick had vanished, along with the evidence we needed to put him away. I heard rumors that he had gone underground, rebuilding his empire in another city. Part of me wanted to find him, to explain myself, to make him understand. But deep down, I knew it was too late. The line between love and duty may have blurred, but now it was clear. I'd made my choice, and I would have to live with the consequences.